Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Novelists Unwind. So glad to have you with us. My guest today is Alexis A. Goring. Very excited to have her. Alexis has written a couple novels and she also writes nonfiction. So we're going to talk about that too. But first of all, Alexis, just welcome. So glad to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's exciting. Always exciting. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all, and then we'll talk about your writing journey and about the books that you've written.
Okay, well, my name is Alexis. I am a professional author, blogger, writer, and editor, and I'm also trained as a journalist. So far, I have 4 books that I've written. The first 3 were inspirational romance for the Christian fiction book market. However, I think anybody could appreciate them in the way it's written, regardless if they're Christian or not. It should inspire them, encourage them, show them Jesus. And then my most recent book is a devotional. It's my first nonfiction work. And I loved writing it. It's funny, quick fact is, I started writing devotionals when I was 16 after recovering from a health crisis. And I never stopped, but it didn't dawn on me until last year, 2019, to have a book of devotionals that I wrote.
Oh, wow. That is exciting. Wow. So, where do you live? Just generally, you don't have to be too specific if you don't want to, but where are you?
I live in Maryland.
Okay.
Yes, about 20 minutes from Annapolis.
Oh, wow. Wow. Way over there on the East Coast.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Well, let's talk about your writing journey because I also want to say, Alexis and I first, well, we've never really met in person, but at least I know your name from the American Christian Fiction Writers Mail Loop, and I imagine that's how you know me too. And Alexis is one of those people that is just such a gung ho supporter. I mean, so she writes books herself, but she also is always doing things to help other authors, which I just has always warmed my heart that you just have that, you have that heart for other authors and are supporting them and doing different kinds of, I don't want to say campaigns. I guess the election's on everybody's mind. But
Promotion.
promotions, thank you. It's like it just wouldn't come to me. And it's like, yes, doing promotions for people, and it's always fun to do that and appreciate that. So tell us about your first novel, and I know you've got your books with you, so show us your first novel and tell us a little bit about your writing journey and how it all came to be for you.
Well, as you can see, my first one is hurling a novel. It's so fun. And it's actually a collection of short, heartwarming stories. It's called Hope in My Heart, a collection of heartwarming stories. And that's the cover, my dream cover, by the way. Quick plug for my graphic designer, Brenda McLaren of McLaren Design Studios in Tennessee. She's amazing. This is her first idea, and I loved it. You know how when you work with a designer, they have many ideas for you to choose from? This is the very first idea, and we just built on it. She's amazing. And then Emily Ann Hendricks, her married name now is Haney. She was my photographer, and that was one of my first professional photos. Mm-hmm. And then the blurb about my book, etc. So basically, Hope in My Heart is about characters in need of hope in one form or another. There are 3 short stories in this book. Looking at the title now, it's been a while. This is published in 2013. The first story is called Love Unexpected, and it's about a car crash that brings together commitment-wary Sebastian and career woman who's single, Sandra, together. So they don't have the best start in their meet cute, because I mean he crashes into her car, so she's not exactly in the best mood no matter how cute he is. And then the second story is set at Christmas time. It's called The Best Gift, and it has, let me count, 3 main characters. Christina, and her desire, what she's hoping for, is to lose 10 pounds for her sister's wedding, because she's a bridesmaid in it. And she's not like obese or anything, but just to lose some weight to look extra great for her sister's wedding. And there's Joshua, and his hope is to be reunited with his ex-girlfriend Maria, who he was so head over heels for that he proposed to her, but she said no, and it broke his heart. And now he's hoping to get her back. So that's what he's hoping for. But the reader will be surprised at the gift he receives in this story, and that's all I can say. I'll also add that he gets what he really needs, and I'll say that. And then Joshua, already said Joshua, I'm sorry. Yeah, those are the main characters in that story. And then there's Peace and Love, which is also a Christmas story, and it's set at the end of the story, so story number 3. And it features 3 main characters. Elle, she's a starving artist from Detroit, Michigan. And she's hoping this Christmas that she will get a full-time job with benefits, the whole 9 yards. because you know how it is when you're a serving artist. So she drives down to Maryland because she has 3 interviews, one in Maryland, one in DC, and one in Virginia. And she's hoping that one of those interviews will be her full-time job. So that's what she's hoping for. And then that's where also there's Eric. He's a divorce attorney. And he's hoping to finally reconcile with his own issues from his own parents' divorce. The divorce when he was a teenager, he took it pretty hard, never really got over it, kind of distanced himself from his parents, but now he realizes he should reconcile and face the music. And then there's Christine. She's adopted, and she loves her adopted family. They're great. But she's getting married in the new year on Valentine's Day. And she really, really wants her birth mom to be there for her wedding. So she hired the PI, and she's hoping that her search will end up her reuniting with her birth mom and having a relationship with her birth mom. Yeah.
Wow, 3 great stories all in one. That's wonderful.
In one.
Yeah.
And that was the first book. Did you want to hear about the others or later?
In a minute, but let's talk about your writing journey though. Like, did you always know, yes, I want to be a writer, I want to do this? How did that all come about, and then to sit down and actually write a book and get it published? Tell us a little bit about your story.
It's a long story. I'll try to cut it short.
Yeah, but it's a long interview. So.
Let's see. So basically, the interesting thing is I never knew that I loved being a writer. I knew that I loved reading books since I was a kid. My mom is an educator, one of the best out there, if I say so myself. So she took value in having both me and my younger brother, I have one sibling, write in journals. Like, those old-fashioned composition books that were like black and white, your different staples or all these ebooks. One for each of us, like every single month. And after school, we had to write how our day was and what we did. And initially, I didn't like doing that. And the funniest part is that just last year, I think, I was cleaning out the house and I found one of those composition books. And I was like, I remember this. And I opened it up and it made me laugh when I read the entry before spring break. I wrote, "Dear Journal, tomorrow is spring break, so I will not be writing in you for a whole week." And I can hear, I think I was 5 or 6 years old, I could hear my little 5 or 6 year old self like rejoicing that I didn't have to write for a whole week. But I love that books never stopped, and I kept reading. And I think my mom had us stop writing the journals we got a bit older. So by age 8 or 9, we didn't have to do that anymore. But in 3rd grade, I had a great teacher, by the way, and she would give me chapter books to read. So I was already advancing as a reader because I just loved it so much. And they always say that good writers are also good readers. So I definitely had that foundation. But then it was in 3rd grade when I was 9 years old that I realized, you know what? I think I want to write books when I grow up, and I want my books to turn into movies. So that was my
Yeah, we all want that, don't we?
Yeah, all the authors, regardless of how they came to it, want that. And that's a good thing. I mean, God puts dreams in our hearts for a reason. But to finish answering your question, ever since age 9, I just pursued it. Like, I had like this deep inner drive to like learn everything I can learn about writing and just grow as a writer. So when I got to high school, I always excelled in my English classes, by the way, over the years, English, reading, and writing. So I knew it was in me. And when I got to high school, I joined the yearbook and journalism staff. And eventually, after the 2nd year, they had me write most of the stories. I'm not sure if that was because I was getting really good at it or because not many other people wanted to write it. But when I got to college, I thought that how to be a good writer would mean I would be an English major. It would teach me what I need to know how to write books. However, after about 2 years of studying as an English major, I found it was not the right fit for me, and I wasn't learning as much as I wanted to learn about the mechanics of writing and like writing and editing and the whole 9 yards. Around that time, God sent the journalism professor, Stacy, to pretty much recruit me for a talent I did not know I had, and that was journalism. And I ended up studying print journalism, which is when I read the course guide. You know how they have those course guides that describe what the major is about? Yeah. And I still remember reading the course guide, and it said it trains you for writing for newspapers, magazines, book publishing houses, and radio. And I was like, oh, she's like me. I think I relate that. And I still remember my first few classes with Stacy felt like the sun rising and what she was teaching us, because everything started.
That's great.
Yeah, everything makes sense. Yeah. And so I graduated with my bachelor's in print journalism, and I really knew how to write by the time I graduated. So that was a blessing. And then I worked at a faith-based magazine that summer as I had an internship, but they weren't hiring full time. So I didn't get hired there, but that's okay. It was a really great experience. And another note about how God works, at the end, you know how they always have an exit interview before you leave to tell you how you did? So there were two of us, the photography intern and me, the writer intern. So he took the pictures, I wrote the stories. And our supervisor, she told us how we did. She told him all the great things he did. And you know how you sandwich a compliment? Like, this is good, this is what we need to improve on, that's great. She did that for him. And for me, she did all the things that I did great. And then she was like, I think if you want to be an editor, you'd be really good at that too. So that was a quick sign that God kind of put that in my story to let me know part of my mission is also editing, but that didn't happen immediately. And then after the internship ended, I had an office job briefly. I knew that was not for me because you're at a computer all day long. It's different when you're a writer and you're writing at your computer all day long, but when you're doing little tasks, and checking off boxes, I mean, I appreciated the job, but eventually I was like, well, what else can I do to make money? And then my mom was like, well, so she's an educator. She was like, you could substitute teach and they would pay you a good amount since you are a college graduate, you have a degree. So at first I was scared. I was like, what? Manage a classroom of kids by myself? But eventually, who was this says do it afraid? Joyce Meyer? I did it afraid. Okay, I did it afraid and I actually liked it. And I thought, maybe this could be my day job until writing takes off. However, I found out that teaching is not a day job. It's like a doctor. You're in call all the time. I only had, in my own journey of being a teacher, I only had Sabbath hours off, 24 hours of the whole week. Then it was lesson planning and grading papers. And the kids are wonderful. They were a blessing. But after 2 years in it, I knew it wasn't for me. And so when that door closed, another door opened to be a freelance reporter at a newspaper, a county newspaper, and it went really well. I was there for 5 years, and I met a lot of great people. I love the interview process, interviewing people and learning from their stories and writing about it and making it look good on paper. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. However, after 5 years, the company went through budget cuts. So all the freelancers had to go. So I had to go. But it's funny how God works. I remember that last year before I had to go because they couldn't afford to pay me anymore, that I had started hosting authors more often. As you know, you were a guest on my blog several times. Oh my God, it's love blog. And it was really picking up. So even though that door was closing, God was opening the door for books. And around that time, my first book was published. Yeah. And then a few years later, I got traditionally published by a small press called Forget Me Not Romances, also known as Wings Publications. And my last 3 books have been published by that company. So that's the long story made short.
Yeah, that's wonderful though, that even way back in your childhood, you had this desire and all these things happening that led you to having that degree and working at the newspaper and all. That's really terrific. That's great. Well, tell us about one of your other books, whichever one you want, Love in Pictures or A Second Chance.
Okay.
Yeah. So show us one of those too.
I'll choose this one, Love in Pictures.
I'm glad you chose that one because I did get to read the beginning of it and it's really cute. And then I was looking at some of the reviews, and one thing I really appreciate about one of the reviews and wanted to talk to you about was it said, yes, it's a lighthearted romance, but you dealt with hard issues. So how do you balance keeping it lighthearted and fun and yet still tap into some hard issues, as the reviewer said?
Yes, I definitely prayed about it. I'll say that first. I know hard issues and sensitive topics, you have to be careful how you address them.
Yes.
I will say it's harder for people who experience those hard issues. There's no tapping around it in real life when you're going through hard issues. But I did know that for a book, I didn't want to burden my reader with too many of the world's problems. But I did realize, as you can see, it's an interracial romance. Michelle is Black and West Indian, and Logan is white with Irish heritage. And so I couldn't just pretend that they weren't going to face any kind of difficulties as an interracial couple. And I know plenty of interracial couples in real life. A lot of them are my friends. And so I know it definitely there's a market out there for that. And so I knew that it would help a lot of readers, especially those who themselves are in interracial romances. However, it's not all about the hard issues. I did show their individual journeys with different aspects. For instance, Michelle is a wedding photographer, and her passion is to have her clients. She has all types of clients, very diverse. She has white couples, black couples, Latino couples, Asian couples, mixed race couples, just every type of couple you can think of as her clients. And her passion is that she wants to see that diversity on the covers of all of these wonderful mainstream wedding magazines and bridal magazines, because you don't see that in real life. Someone just made me aware that you don't even see much diversity. What's what they have now. It's mainly just the blonde brides and the brunettes. It's never the redheads or the women who have. You don't see that a lot. And that person would open my eyes. I didn't even think about that part. And so her passion is to change that through her work. And so that's what she's pushing for. The funny thing about Michelle is that even though she has a whole career about celebrating true love and romantic relationships, she's never actually been in a romantic relationship. And so she's a little bit shy, very shy when it comes to dating and guys. And then she meets Logan. And when the reader meets Logan, they see that he is still heartbroken from a breakup that happened 2 years prior to this story with London. It was his girlfriend and fiance, but she broke off their engagement and canceled their plans for marriage and family to instead choose her career to be an international famous model. So she took a one flight ticket to Paris, France, and left Logan broken in Maryland, heartbroken in Maryland. And so he's still trying to recover from that. He still has her picture in his cubicle at work. Now, yeah, Logan is a print journalist, and he dreams of being on TV. He wants to not just be on a reality show. He doesn't want that. He wants to be like an anchor on an evening news channel on a major network like NBC or ABC. And so that's his dream. But he has a personal struggle that kind of prevents that dream from coming true for a while. He's been fighting against this personal struggle. It's messing up his goals. And the reader will have to read the book to find out why. Now, I will say before I end talking about that something about Michelle, after he meets her, starts getting to know her, awakens his desire to love again. So that's what that story is about.
One happy ending in romance, in our romances, right? So absolutely. Well, then just briefly tell us about the A Second Chance, your other novel.
Sure. So
the covers too. Those covers are really cute. They do.
My publisher gives me a say in the covers. So that's a blessing. She found this picture. It worked because this is somewhat what Tracy. Oh, hold on. It's backwards. This is Tracy. The bride is Tracy. Okay. The groom is Mark. And this story is about Tracy and Mark. Tracy was jilted, left at the altar on her wedding day, where her groom, the man who to marry, ran off with her maid of honor, who at the time was her best friend. As you can imagine, she is done with love and everything about love. And she has like a sky-high stack of bills that she has to pay from the wedding that never happened because her ex-fiance isn't helping her with that either. So she's skeptical about everything about love and romance. And so she's just done. And then until she meets Mark. But even then, she's kind of very skeptical. And then Mark's background is that he's just Mr. Nice Guy. He's too nice. That his girlfriends think he's just plain and boring. And they break up with him and they always say, I just want to be your friend. Let's just be friends. So that's his story. So he's already feeling defeated. But his niceness helps his sister Gina. Gina is a best-selling romance novelist who is heartbroken, as the reader will see where they meet her, because her husband died in a fire. He was a firefighter. He died in the line of duty. And now, before he had died, they had two adorable kids, Samantha and Reagan, and she has to raise them on her own. But Mark lives nearby her house. And so what he'll do, he'll stop by often to give her a break, take the kids out, spend some time with them, even cook dinner if he has to, so she can work on her job, which is writing romance novels. She actually makes a living from it, which is really good. But her passion for all things romance kind of play a role in bringing Mark and Tracy together. But again, I can't say much more about that. The reader has to read the book.
That's intriguing, though. That sounds like a very intriguing plot. I like that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. Excuse me. So what's next? What do you have next in store?
Well, I'm working on another story, but before I do that, can I put a plug for my devotional book? This is book number 4. It's my devotional book called Stories and Songs of Faith, My Journey with God. And it's a 52-week devotional that I would say will inspire you and encourage you and warm your heart and show you Jesus and God and all the love they have for humanity. That's what I'm hoping all my readers will get when they read my devotional. And what else? Oh, a fun feature about it is that there's a song directory at the end of my devotional book.
Oh.
Yeah, because in each devotional, I mention a song. I love music. It's right up there with my love for writing and food and photography. but but I was like, I can't write a devotional without music. So every single, I describe my devotional writing as, God, it feels like God just downloads ideas in my head, and then I go from there. And like one of the examples of that was a few years ago. And this devotional is not in my book, only because I read it for another devotional book that I'm part of. But I called it Taste and See. And the reason I did was one time I was at an outdoor mall not far from where I live. And I was just walking, going toward one of the stores, and I had to pass Tivana to get there. You know, remember Tivana? It's still around, right? So, yes, it's a tea specialty store. It's really popular. Wow. And as I was approaching Tivana, the words Taste and See dropped in my head. And I was looking at the scene before me, and you know how they always have like one or two employees standing right outside their door, and they have samples of the tea, and they sample our tea, sample our tea, at Taste and See. And the Bible verse, Taste and See the Lord is good, also follow that. And when I got home, I just started writing, and I had a whole devotional called Taste and See.
Wonderful.
About how just like Tivana has their employees outside their door offering samples. You can taste and see if their tea is good, and you want to buy it. God kind of does the same thing with us. He wants us to taste and see that he is good. And he, as one of my friends says, he woos us to a relationship with us. He's not going to force anybody, of course, but he really wants a relationship with everyone.
I love that. I love that. Okay, and so then what, are you working on another novel too?
I am. The idea popped in my head a few months ago this year. So I'm working on another contemporary romance story, and that's all I can say for now, but I think my readers will love it because it features two of the secondary characters in one of my fiction books.
Oh, so. That's really cool when you can do that. Yeah. Almost make it a series. Well, this has been so much fun to hear about your stories and your inspirations and both your fiction and nonfiction work. One last thing I always ask everybody that's been a guest. What do you do to unwind after the novel is written, the book is written, you hit the end? What do you do to unwind?
Well, I do love, before the pandemic, going to my favorite nail salon. It's like a day spot. It's really nice there.
Nice.
And yes, it's in Annapolis actually. And they have what's called a peppermint pedicure. And I would just, if I could afford it at the time, just get a peppermint pedicure followed by a peppermint manicure. I haven't gotten it since the pandemic, so this is me. But yeah, that's my favorite. It's so relaxing, and they also include like a hot stone massage in the package that they have. And so I just feel like $1 million when I leave the spot after having a peppermint pedicure.
Wonderful. I may have to try that after I get my next novel finished. Maybe do something like that. That sounds fun if I can, because like you said, pandemic. But well, Alexis, thank you so much. Show us your books again really quick, just so we can see the different covers. All are really, really nice. Yeah, just hold them up one at a time if you want to. So we got Hope and Heart.
Hope in My Heart.
In My Heart. Thank you.
A collection of heartwarming stories published in 2013.
Yeah, and then you've got
second book, A Second Chance.
Second Chance. Sounds so cute.
Traditionally published in January 2017. Then you have Love in Pictures. Cute. And that was traditionally published in June 2018. And then you have my devotional book, Stories and Songs of Faith, My Journey with God, published this year, April 2020.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being on here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It was a joy. Thanks so much. And thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you again on Novelists Unwind.
Bye.